only when it goes up. Else the 500 takas go to me.
Further, a little bit of clarification.
Please.
In case you are not eating it, you can put it back on the plate, right?
Oh, absolutely. But it has to come at least to your mouth. So that you know that movement is necessary.
Oh, you have to make that movement to your mouth.
To your mouth. So it's simple. It goes inside for whatever time you want to hold it, and then it has to come up till here. You might not eat it, you can put it back. Absolutely.
And you should eat it.
Absolutely.
Let's not waste.
Absolutely. Not an issue, ma'am. Absolutely not. Thank you very much. So, are you ready, sir? A round of applause for them, please. On the count of 3, you are going to pick up the biscuit, dunk it, and hold it for as much time as you think is right. And we're going to have 2 winners coming out of this going for the final round. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Give it back. So I presume this was a kind of a trial round because everybody quickly picked it out. The person who holds the maximum number of time is the winner, friends. I didn't tell that, did I? Alright, so let me have some fresh biscuits that are lying there. The blue packet. So it is about holding for as much time as you can.
If it breaks, then you do.
Just go like that. Absolutely yes.
You have to take a risk.
That's the risk that you're going to take of putting it in as much amount of time as you can. Are you ready now? I hope I'm absolutely clear now. Fantastic. So, only one, sir. Only one biscuit. Only one biscuit allowed. 3, 2, 1, go! He is the clear winner, and he is also the winner for us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Both of you remain here. We have another round for you, a quick one. So can we have those 2 separate things in 2 cups? 2 separate things in 2 cups. And this time, I'm going to change for you the biscuit as well. I want to change for you the biscuit as well. So you can take a choice of this biscuit. I'm going to give you a little better choice. And the rule remains the same. No, this time you will have separate liquids. I don't know who is getting what. It is up to his destiny. You're going to get separate liquids. You still have the choice of keeping the biscuit for as much amount of time as possible. Try, because you're going to fight for 500 takas. Believe me. The winner gets 500 takas. Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, for him. Thank you. Alright, here we go. 1, 2, 3, start! So let me go on. Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.
For the nomination.
Let's take a quick unwinding. As we settle down, let's quickly go through a couple of things that was happening. Let's try to understand a couple of things that were happening as we're trying to do this little act. They say that the way you play is the way you live. Right? So, tell me what was happening. Some of you would like to just participate and tell me what was happening in the first round, after the trial round, of course, when they were asked to dunk the biscuit, hold it for some time to get the ROI. What was happening? Can people observe and tell me now? What was happening? Quickly, can you tell me what was happening?
Testing their, pushing themselves.
They were pushing themselves. Okay. What else?
They were confused.
A couple of them were trying to observe others as well. They said, okay, let me see what my other fellow is doing. So yes, that was one thing that was happening. So for you, thank you. What else? What else was observed? What else did you observe?
They were being cautious.
Sorry?
They were being cautious.
They were being cautious. In fact, some immediately dipped in and took it out again. So the propensity to take the risk was a little low when they knew that it's better to come out clean rather than break it. Alright? What else?
They were checking what the competitors are doing.
Risk was increasing. Can you explain, sir? Because you are a participant also. Can you tell me more?
Because as the time will pass, these people also will be liquid and it will take automatically.
Yes.
Risk will also
Risk was actually increasing. Thank you. Sir. They are observing others' behavior. Before I give you the chocolate, can you tell me a couple of observations of the behavior that you could see? Bro, right.
He was waiting for the other.
So I was waiting for the other market leader or market player to take an act before I decide to move ahead on. Okay, what else? Anything else? There was one more subtle observation which I could see. So I'm going to ask Mr. Bhaktiyar also about it. So in spite of seeing that you were still inside, what made you take the decision that I should come out now? No. The idea was not to be the fastest, in fact.
Yes,
Mike.
and much I was putting my mistake in the
Right. Okay.
So I after some time it will not. I can.
It will not hold.
Yeah.
It is the risk appetite. It is the risk appetite of the person.
Yeah, it was also talking about the risk appetite. Sorry, sir. Yes. He wanted to make the most of the situation and doing that. However, it was very interesting for me to observe this time, and this was very unlikely that the gentleman who ultimately got those 500 takas, he was the person who was completely focused on his job. He did glance this way, but he didn't make an attempt of looking at what was happening. And I'm not too sure whether in the real world also, is this what leaders normally do? And surprisingly, the answer is yes. They do have a fair idea about what is happening around, but ultimately they decide to go by what their gut says. And it will be interesting for a few of you to know this. There was this experiment being done about how leaders take decisions. And I'm just going to connect this back to the subject that we are talking about, which is risk. Why? In today's business world, especially in the banking and financial sector, where volatility, speed, uncertainty, these have become the kind of keywords for the industry to be or not to be in. People are pushed to take less informed or uninformed decisions. Although we talk about information being available so openly nowadays, it's an open source, what I should say, era, where everything is available. However, research proves it otherwise. The banking and financial sector is controlled by 5 top players globally. And out of them, JP Morgan and Lehman, they control about 50% of what's happening in the financial sector. So if these key people are taking so many decisions, if so many things are happening differently in different parts of the world, the shift is happening, of course, all of us are aware, from the northern side to the southern side, Africa, Mexico, then Middle East, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Indonesia, China, India. These are the players where the economic field is also shifting. And in this uninformed and ever rapidly changing era, how do people take decisions? And they might not be having all the data. All the information might not be available. Or there will be so much of information available that you might not be able to pick up what the relevant information for me is currently. Because as was rightly pointed out some time ago by Mr. Andy, where things are changing so fast. You have a balance sheet which is 12 months old. Things might have already changed in the organization or in the company. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to manage your risk and take your decisions around it? And experiment shows that 93% of senior leaders and senior executives, they do have data in front of them, but they probably take a decision based on their gut, based on what they feel about a particular thing. And it is very important for us to understand this softer side, which we call as the feeling side, which we call as the emotional side of the human being. Just to cite you a couple of examples. I'm sure learned people, all of you are here, you are aware about the Albert Mehrabian law of communication, which talks about 7 by 93 rule. Heard about it? The 7 by 93 rule? 7% of the communication that you do happens from your words, and 93% happens from your non-verbals. Within those 93%, 55% happens from the body language, and 38% from the tonality and the way people interact and talk. This is very interesting for you to know this. Talking about body language, if you're into a one-on-one, let us say you're into a negotiation with a client, you're sitting with a client face to face, couple of you and a couple of people from the client side, look at their eyes. When they speak, are their eyeballs dilated? If they are, there is energy, there is enthusiasm, there is a strong willingness to do things. And if the eyeballs are constricted, it surely means something is going at the back of the mind which probably is not coming up very strongly. Somebody has beautifully said that body language is nothing but the external manifestation of your internal state of being. I'm sure some of you must have heard in different platforms that when somebody is scratching, he is uncertain or he is trying to be judgmental about what you're trying to say. You know something? Why does a person need to scratch in that state of mind when he is not certain or there is ambiguity at the back of his mind? The putative tension is one part of it, sir, but what will be important for you to know, you're absolutely right, tension. But what happens in a tense moment is the body chemicals change. There is a rumbling that happens, the body chemicals change, the pituitary gland, they secrete different kind of chemicals because of which the body heat increases, blood flow in a particular location goes up and you feel the need of scratching. That's how it happens. There is a neurological reason for that. So it will be important for us to pick up these subtle things that are happening to people around. If somebody is in a discussion with this kind of a stature, with this kind of a thing, absolutely is confident about what he says. He's absolutely confident about what he says. And I'll give you a very simple exhibit, if I might just use that word. So let me give you 3 same statements and I would like to know your feelings around each of these statements. So in this beautiful, so let me start again. Okay. So in this beautiful way in which today the day has been organized for you around risk management, I'm happy that so many of you have decided to move to the east, the west, the north and the south and make a great difference to the organization with which you are working. Number 1. Number 2. It's absolutely great to see each one of you seated here and in this beautiful organization where you have decided to make a difference to your organization and to the people. You have decided to move to the east, the west, north and the south. Number 2. And now number 3. Today each one of you seated here have decided to make a difference in your organization by deciding to go to the east, the west, the north and the south, and you are going to surely get great guns out of this risk management initiative. Tell me quickly, what did you feel in these 3 different statements that I just made, which almost made the same? What were you feeling in each of these statements?
Energy level change.
Okay, energy level changing.
Your hand movement was changing.
My hand movement was changing, sir. Thank you. Can somebody? And what was happening to you in each of these hand movements?
The last one is more confusing.
The last one was
Pointing at us.
pointed. Okay.
Your posture varied from one situation to another situation.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you. And if sorry. The tone changed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it happened. I was trying to maintain my tone. However, it changed. I didn't manage that. Believe me, and thank you for noticing that. And which tone did you find to be more intimidating?
Last one.
The last one.
Last one.
The last one. experts say that when people work with their palms up this way, they are more accommodative and they are more receptive. When they speak this way, there is an element of, I am the boss, I am the authority. And when they speak this way, they could be, I am the only best. Little things for us to keep on observing when we try to. I'll just share an example with you. I knew of a senior manager from a major credit card company. And this person, this proposed client, was coming from the logistic industry. And in Indian rupees, he was making approximately billings of between 40 to 50 million rupees per month on fuel. So this logistic company MD, he wanted a special card. This executive along with, he had made all his balance sheets, he had made all the details, he had got the limits and everything, and he was looking for a limit of about, in Indian rupees, about 2.5 crore rupees, which is about 25 million. So he was trying to look for a limit like that. So all the papers were submitted from his office well in time, well in advance. The papers were in place, the figures were all fine. And to make the final discussion and get the signature and hand over the card, this person went with his senior manager, and that person said, okay, come to my house. They went inside that particular colony, huge big bungalow, 20,000 square feet, in the prime location of a big metro. I'm not going to reveal the name. They walk inside, they see 4 or 5 different high-range cars. But when they look at the drivers, they sense that they seem to be a little too, if I might use that word, a little rowdy by their nature. They can see some gold chain around them, they could see some rings around, and these were drivers. They see 2 Rottweiler dogs, one of the most ferocious variety of dogs, 2 of them caged and chained. And this particular person always used to wear, from tip to toe, Varshasi, from shoes to his tie. And he invited him to the house, spoke with them. And his general manager, he just said one thing to his executive, hold on. And the executive probably was smart enough to understand the signal. He went on and he said, sir, these are a few more formalities, but I wanted my manager to meet you first. And they just kind of sidetracked the fact that they were going to present the card to him. After they came out, they went to the office and the executive said, the general manager said, son, cancel this plan. And it meant a huge loss to that executive. The person said, sir, I have really worked hard for this person. But believe me, this business means I attain my numbers of this month. I get a lot of benefits out of servicing this client. He said, sir, believe me, cancel this client. And very hard, this person had to follow his boss's order. And then he went up to the office, just tried to make up and said, okay, there are a couple of issues around the limit sanction. So I'm sorry, but there might be some delay, or maybe we'll have to wait for some more time, or you could probably get to some another card supplier who can give you that respective credit. And in that moment, the person in Versace, they started using ABC language. He started using abusive language. And this person had to simply apologize and leave back. And believe me, and this was shared to me in person by the general manager, he said, we later found out that he was the person who had all the kind of wrong contacts in the wrong arenas. And he was not the person to deal with, because once the limit was given to him, it would have gone forever. What were a few things that the general manager found differently than the executive? He could smell the Rottweiler dog. The driver was not putting in place. The way in which he was speaking over the telephone to a couple of his people around, it doesn't seem to be going along the Varchase that he was trying to wear. And that's why he took a conscious call, let us not risk by giving these few things to him. The papers were in place. The sanctioning committee, the audit team had given all the clearances required, yet the general manager took a decision, he should not be given the credit limit. This is what happens psychologically when you start smelling. I'll give you another simple example. Some of you might be very astonished to know this. Typically, when a financial organization comes for a survey or for an audit, or 4 or 5 people from the bank, they go to visit the client's place. And this is also another instance which the director of company of a cooperative bank shared with me. He said when we went there, to a surprise, that organization, Nick and Nat, and the people who were serving food, the peons in the bank, all the drivers, the people who were doing the lesser jobs, they were absolutely dressed in white uniform. But you know something? We could make out this was a makeover. That was not their culture. Because that white uniform that they were wearing, it was smelling fresh. It was not even washed once. You can have it, that smell of the color of the starch that goes on to the cotton cloth. He could smell that and he could realize that it was a kind of a makeover that was made. Based on that little signal that this looks to be a makeover, this isn't the kind of culture these people are used to. They further did down a little and they found out that he was not the right person to be with. Friends, at times, the feel factor, the softer factor becomes really, really very important for us to pick up and understand that. Salman bhai, can I have that little video of Steve Jobs? I'd like you to see this video, and there's a little thing that I would like to learn out of this. Just look at this video of Steve Jobs and hold it for a moment.
Users who are always plugged into the internet get full benefit. Move your digital camcorder up to your massive firewall.
iMac, iBook, iPod. What is iPod?
Because this is the new iPod. 1,000 songs in your pocket. Impossibly small. It's really small. Let me talk about a category of things. The most advanced phones are called smartphones. This is really hot. And there are well over 100. We've been working on this product for a while, and I just didn't want to miss today. So thank you for having me. And we launched the iBook store less than a year, and one of the milestones we've hit is that users have downloaded over 100 million books in less than a year from the iBook store. So we've got 5 polyurethane colors and 5 colors of leather. And they're really, really beautiful. They look great with the black in it. They look great with the white in it.
Thank you so much. Anything that you could observe that was different? Anybody?
He got thinner.
He got thinner, absolutely.
And more open to people.
Thank you so much.
Flimsy look.
Yeah, I mean, the cancer probably was taking over the physical of his absolutely fine, sir. Anything that you could observe this time? Sorry? Oh yeah, he was a lorry in black, of course, always.
He looked more confident
Right, sir. The maturity, actually gave him a lot of confidence that he got inside.
You always think we are always got a new product.
Of course, yes. I mean, Apple is known for its innovation. There was a very subtle observation made by online experts. Sorry? Oh yeah, his voice got a little softer as would people mature. They become a little more softer. I agree with you on that. It will be important for you to know this, sir.
One thing, I think earlier he was launching products for commercial projects. So his products were meant for his ambition.
Okay.
Secondly, now he put products which was meant for people.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that earlier he was probably me-centric and then he became the society-centric. Okay, I'll have to just understand his biography a little more for that. It will be important for you to know this, friends. And this, in all the earlier launches that Jobs used to do, he always had this push. He always had this push. I was only in the 2011 launch that his hands went behind 17 times. 17 times. And it was absolutely, it's a sign of concealment. When people speak a lot with their hands behind, it's a sign of concealment. And needless to tell, what was going inside his Job's brain and his mind and his emotional state, and when he knew that he had just a few days left, and that probably this would be the last launch that ever I might make by my hands in this world. That he did not want to expose that to people. He went with the same candor. He went with the same feelings of making a launch and trying to come back next year with a bigger and newer one. However, little things would not be big. Internally he was touched. Internally he was uncomfortable, and that showed from his little physical stuff, which was about his hand look at the back. I'm just raising a couple of points for you to start thinking on. One thing, as a risk manager, as the owner of the money, you need to be able to pick up what are the signals other people are trying to give, A. B, there could be certain signals I might be giving. Am I too anxious in trying to get the deal done so that I get my numbers? And again, this is the classical dilemma between business and risk always. I mean, fortunately, I have the opportunity of working in a couple of multinational banks in Bangladesh as well, besides that Africa and Singapore. Everywhere, they say that risk and business, they never go together. And we have been trying hard to make people understand. Let's understand the yin and yang concept, where they say that the male and the female energy, they are what are the universal truth. And a very prominent statement which I loved was, opposites exist because they can coexist. Risk and business are the two new pillars of business. At one end, I want to achieve my numbers, I want to get my bonuses, I want to make sure that I get my numbers right and make as much disbursements as possible. At other end, it is important for me to safeguard the business interest. That's where all of this comes. I wanted to talk about the uncertain environment, the way in which uncertainty happens. I don't know. In fact, in the last round of the tea dunking activity that we just did, one person got a hot cup of milk and the other one got a cold cup of milk. And naturally, the cold cup of milk was serving one. Of course, it could have been otherwise also. But the point I'm trying to tell you is that what is happening in the real market, you might not have all the information, yet I have to take decisions. How do I believe and stay by my decisions? And this gut or intuition will become very, very important. It will be important for you to know what's happening here at the bottom of your mind. What are you feeling about what actually is going through it? And that's why the best of the organizations, they seem to have defined certain value systems. I have been very fortunate to work with one of the largest European banks currently, who claims to have more than 140,000 people globally in 6 different countries where they work. And they are spending huge money after the 2008-9 incidents on generating a value-based organization. They are talking about what are certain behaviors that people need to adhere to, so that it is not only what you get, but it is also